sometimes stretching your resources out too far, going all the way across the country, where you could have done a loop, like gone to Arizona, Vegas, and home? That's a lot of gas and a lot of fuel. How much money do you lose on that tour?
Gas alone was about $3,000.
Yeah. You know, I always say, like, if you're in a band and you want to tour, become the biggest band in your area, and then look at a city like San Diego and Phoenix and find like-minded musicians and say, you come open for us up here, we'll come down there and open for you. And you build your radius out. You know, and then you can start building out in different directions. I also recommend every young band move east of the Mississippi River. You know why? You can tour. Drives are so far here. The West Coast, west of Denver, it is brutal to tour and break as a band. It's very, very hard. That's why also Nashville is becoming a hub, because it's 2 hours anywhere by flight east of Denver. You can also live there. As you grow, you can get anywhere. When I had an office in Nashville, I was running a country tour called Throwdown. And it was awesome because we'd go Thursday night, Wednesday night we'd load up on the buses, because no one really wants to play on a Monday through Wednesday. It's hard to sell tickets. So we load up on the bus on Wednesday night, we drive down to Florida, we could do 4 shows Sunday night and be back in Nashville for the days off. It's allowed people to have families. I didn't understand it, but they actually have family. You could get home from almost anywhere on the East Coast on a tour bus and take your kids to school in the morning. Nashville's a very big town like that. So as a young band, that's what, you know, I don't want to, I'm sure it was a great adventure. Sat in some parking lots at Flying J, ate some of that awesome food. It's great, right? It's great. It makes for a great story. It makes for great stories. I don't know if it builds a career to do that.
Well, as long as they got our name out there, that's what they were trying to succeed. You know, I strongly suggested against it, but
yeah, I don't know. You know, I wouldn't. That wouldn't be the way I did. I'm not an expert on everything. Me, I'm more like building the spokes out from a wheel and building that scene out that way. Because it also allows you to go out on a weekend and tour and then have a regular job during the week. Because sad to say, you're going to probably have to get a regular job for a while you're breaking out. There's not many people that could be just like sleeping all day. Greatest line in the world, Martin Atkins. Has anyone ever heard of Martin Atkins? I'll leave you with some resources to read. A guy named Martin Atkins. He wrote a book called Tour Smart. And he wrote a book called Welcome to the Music Business, Now You're Fucked. He wrote these books. Read them. He was a drummer, brilliant guy. We hung out down South by Southwest. He had some of his students there. And he also had another term, get out of bed. All right? It's a simple thing in life. Just get up and start working. I mean, I sleep about 4.5 hours, 5 hours a day. I know the doctor tells me I need to sleep more, do that. But I love that I just get up in the middle and I can send emails and no one knows where I'm at in the world. And they're sending them, and there's guys driving in from LA or driving to New York, and they're waiting. I just got like proposals from Kevin. What time is it? So it kind of keeps that illusion, but it also keeps people on their toes. They don't know where things are coming at them for me at all sides and what times. And you know, this morning I was sending out emails 2 o'clock your time as I woke up. First thing I did was got up, sent out a few things. And people are like, where are you? I go, I'm in LA, because I'm here now. By the time they saw him, they're like, oh my God, 2 o'clock in the morning, he's sending me work again. But staying on your toes. I mean, touring to me is a spoke, it's a wheel. That's just my philosophy, because gas, fuel is so expensive. What else you want to talk about? Yes?
My name is Anthony Jackson, and I'm a musician and composer. And my question is, how do you, I'm trying to make, like, I also want to make a home style music. That's my goal. And this started, after that you were in working, and not just, letting them be dreams. But my question is when you're contemplating a new idea that you think is going to be groundbreaking, how does your creative process work? How do you judge whether something is going to be successful or if it's going to flop? What's the line of logic that you follow?
One, I almost take if I'm looking at someone else's project, I have to take myself out of that. And then go back to my gut, sit there with that person, they're kind of proposing to me, or music. That's the thing, is something going to be totally different, or groundbreaking. I saw a couple things at South by opening my mind, because I could have been going to the Kanye show, and I did go to the Lady Gaga show. I could have gone to any show I want, and it's not like bragging, but I can. I've earned that right to be able to go to any show I want. But what I did was just wandered around and listened to the Doors and heard something maybe that's a little different. Composing now totally different music is a great way. You know, and that's where I keep going to Nashville, and I know because there's so many influences of music there. People get together. What do they get together on Friday nights and do? They get around and write songs together. They get together and compose music together, always honing their craft. And it's putting yourself out there because eventually someone you hope will hear it. There's no A to Z success in the music business. And I think Alan's probably an advocate of that too. He saw the ups and downs, but like if anyone's telling you you can go A, B, D, and it's going to work, it's finding something that your music fits to. If you like video games, I know some people have gone straight to the video game world and created songs that end up breaking and music that breaks out of a video game before anyone's ever heard of them. You know, or if your music fits to it, you can find out who's doing anything right now. People always ask me, how do you get a job on your tours? I go, well, you look at the logos, the first thing, and you look at all the people that might be supporting the tour, and then you can reach out to their aid. You can find out who's representing them and see if they need any staff on the road. But, you know, what kind of music is it? Or, you don't, or is it totally different?
Well, I'm a jazz musician, and it's deep in jazz, but it also, I like the timbres of electronic music.
Right.
But I like also the harmonies of jazz, so I'm trying to do that at the same time. I like hip hop. It's still an evolving thing.
And that's what I heard down there. That's what I've heard. Because ultimately, I go, you guys live your lives on iPod on shuffle. Or you're listening to Pandora, or you're listening to all this stuff. Music influences now are everywhere. You know, you can find a person, they like everything. And that music's, you know, I saw a band that was down there that was sounding like a Ben Queller, kind of meets like a horn section from the Almighty Boss Tones, and a stand-up drummer. And I was like, it works. Now, that's people from different types of music. People are more open-minded to work with each other because you're growing up listening to more music. You're digesting more types of music and more things. So it's amazing some of the acts I've saw down there, and they're everything. And I watched this one, and I was just going, if I can get Calvin Harris to remix 3 of his songs, they're going to be the biggest dance hits probably. And I'm not a guy that likes dance music. I'm not an EDM guy. I'm really not. You know? I worked with a lot of EDM artists early on, Sasha Digweed and Paul Oakenfield and that world. But I could hear it, and I go, it wasn't even something you would think as a dance mix. And I go, if I can bridge these two together, they're going to work. So I'm going to try to help them out. But it's just sometimes doing the right thing. Like, you know, just got to go out there and do it. Yes.
Hi, I'm Mia. I'm a business major, and I don't really have questions, but I do have a statement. You said the way you started is hustle, and networking, like you said, a spoke, and, you know, from your hub, you just started meeting new people and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm on Mind Hustle too, and I was wondering if I can make a connection with you.
Yeah,
Give you
absolutely.
my card, because it's something I'd like to go into and possibly try and enter at my Instagram, my mobile, and my, you know.
Yeah, and I'm really easy. I give everyone an email address. It's
Yeah.
Kevin, and this is where where my age adds up. KevinWarped@AOL.com. You don't know how many kids go, you got an AOL account? You're the last one in the world. You know, but Kevin Warped at AOL we started the Warped Tour at the beginning of the internet age, really. It was like, we were told, some people told us we were the first tour that had a web page. And the only, you know, so I guess I needed to get an email address, and that was kevinwarped@AOL.com. I've kept that email address because I can pass that out, I can go through it and answer people when I can, because I have to change my cell phone all the time. Because it gets out, and it ends up on crazy websites, and people start calling me in the middle of the night. And so you have to just end it, you know, normal technology. But that Kevin Warped at AOL goes on. I think I pay $20 a month for it or whatever. But I do, or whatever it costs. It's some crazy number for back then, but I keep it because I want to keep that accessibility. And you know, people always say like, Kevin, the office is, you know, I know people that work in my office sometimes are like, this place is crazy. It's a madhouse of people coming in with ideas and different things that you want to work on. And I go, well, those ideas, you know, 9 out of 10 might not happen, but it's going to be that one comes in, and usually it comes in with a student, and then we kind of could build on it together or work on it. And now I look at it because I'm completely working out of fear and desperation because I'm 52 years old, and they tell me I can't get a job in America. So I have to get up every day and work really hard. And I've also realized I don't book the Warped Tour for myself anymore. It's gotten really easy for me. I'm curating it for a culture. I've taken my personal tastes to a point now. You're always going to hear some of it. You're going to hear like, a band like the Bad Rabbits or something like that I think people need to see, and maybe I can help them break out. But I'm just trying, it's easy to curate because it's a total weird almost, because I'm not hanging out with Fletcher or Fat Mike or the guys from No Effects, Pennywise, Bad Religion. We sit around and we can talk about kids now. We can talk about, things like that. But they know that what I'm doing was important to them at a certain time, but they know they're not part of it. It knew it when Jay Bentley from Bad Religion walked up to me and goes, after coming off stage, he goes, "Who the hell is A Day to Remember?" And I go, "Well, A Day to Remember is a band out of Florida. Their kids are really like it." He goes, "No." He goes, "No one's allowed to be bigger than us." And it was a very, very honest discussion. I go, he goes, "Totally get it, Kevin. You helped us keep our careers going for an extra 10 years in front of kids, 10, 12 years playing for kids. So that's why they play, and they like playing at House of Blues, because you take your kids to Disneyland. They can go play a gig, they can have their lives and go home. They don't tour the way they used to tour. And I always say that if I took all my old friends, my punk rock friends around the country, I'd be burying a lot of them in shallow graves in hot parking lots across America. Because physically that tour is not going to, if I took when I did the old punk rock stages on the West Coast, Lee Ving would not make it through 40 shows. Don Bowles, they could barely make it through 3 shows on the West Coast, and one of them was in Ventura, and it's only 75 degrees there. So it just changes and evolves, and it's always constantly looking how to evolve in business. It's constantly, for me, I'm looking at other things. I always have that illusion of becoming a fishing boat captain. I'm trying to learn how to be one. Something like that. So I spend a lot of time out on boats right now. I route the whole Warped Tour around fishing spots. It's my personal thing. It's like when we had this problem of, like, we had to reroute because the Fall Out Boy Paramore show was right on top of ours, and I'd already been on sale for a month, so I had to change some routing around. The only thing I was worried about was I wasn't going to take everyone whitewater rafting on the Rio Grande River this year. So the first thing I do is I go into my Cali, I do all my mile check, and I go, yes, we can make it. Now it's going to cost me $20,000 in overdrives to get there, but you know what? I'm in that position. I can take my friends. I'm taking 147 people whitewater rafting on a day off. That's where I'm at. It's a nice. I'm not saying but that's still how I find that excitement, because I always say and I also find that excitement because I say if you open the doors and you don't get goosebumps, then it's not worth doing it. And I still do. And music is my thing. It's become a passion. It's through my heart. Going down to South by Southwest this time, I pictured myself in the crowd of X, but I was reversed. Like, I was the guy throwing everyone off stage back then. And I just enjoyed the music. And then I walked right out the door with Exene and John Doe right into that craziness that would happen in South by Southwest, and it was a slam in the face reality check. So let's talk a couple more things. Well, I don't know, what we got? Alan, we got some more time, right?
Hi, I'm Jose Cruz. I play in a band called The Kimps, another local band. We've been doing a lot of shows. So my question to you is, right now we're halfway through our production of the full-length album, and what would you recommend to be the first step we do when we finally finish it?
Well, I would put it up digitally. I mean, we moved in music a whole different way now. I still believe there's the advent, of don't give your music away. I mean, there was a lot of debate down there that music has no value. Establish some value to your music. And I don't know how many fans you might have. I don't know. It could go in any realm of music. I sit with a lot of old punk bands, Bouncing Souls and Anti-Flag and those guys. And they're in a great position. They have like 100,000 fans. And so I help them develop their programs now. I sit with them as friends and say, service those friends each month. Release a single. I like the idea of releasing a single. But charge something for it. Charge $1 for the single and make money for it. Release unique product. I don't know, and I don't know, maybe you have 500 fans, 1,000 fans, 10,000 fans. But if you had 500 die-hard fans, make 500 pieces of vinyl. And put your album, we're only making 500 of these available to you for this price, Because those of you who are diehard fans can only buy 6. So we're getting like into unique product time. Artists that are creating unique things, because people still want a tangible. There's still people who want something tangible. We digest so much music that we've attached no value to it. I just think there's a way to re-inject that value. Now, that re-injecting that value, there's going to be those giant pop acts, but look how fast they're turning. They might be big for a little bit, but the long-term artist is going to nurture those fans and create a special T-shirt. We did this crazy thing on this year, and I've never companies, and it's hard. It's hard. I'm very loyal to people, almost loyal to a fault, because I'm not drifting. People can always come. I can make you more money, but I love those guys, and I got my merchandise company for Warped Tour. Been there 19 years. I gave them every opportunity to move into this digital space that we're in right now, about creating an online store. Finally, I had to make a move. I moved over to Brett Gurewitz from Bad Religion's company, Kings Road, just recently. And their guys came in and said, Kevin, I think your fans would like a baseball jersey with a logo of the Warped Tour, but be able to put their name on the back with a couple, whatever number combination they went. And I said, that's what I'm looking for. Like, this is how our kids, unique product that's only available for a limited amount of time, and specialty. So a kid can put everyone, and I get more, I'm the acronym guy. I'm not supposed to understand them, but kids, because everyone speaks to me in acronyms. But I the best one, DFTBA, don't forget to be awesome. That was the coolest one I saw on a shirt so far. And I'm actually working with them now to develop a whole line of stuff called DFTBA, empowering kids for charities. But kids put those shirts up, we put them up online, purchase them. The guy who came up with the idea is like, Kevin, it's almost too good of an idea. You've sold like 4,000 shirts in a month. And I have to run a double shift to make all those shirts work. So taking it on a big level that I think the Warped Tour crowd is, he sold more online merchandise in 4 months, I think, or a few months than we did in 19 years. But take it and build something special for your fans and say it's only going to be available for a limited amount of time. Limited amount of time and fans. I think it'll eventually get to a point where there's things. And then you got Neil Young, who just came up with a higher end quality audio player. Story in USA Today. They were launching it down at South by Southwest for the person that really wants the higher end audio. Because you guys were all kind of raised on compressed sound. And then the true person who wants to hear it on a different way will be able to have that option. And it's creating options. I don't think they expect to go and compete against Apple or some of these, but they're finding niches that work, and then taking care of that niche real well. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Yes?
Hi, I'm Yoshi. Recently I've been realizing in San Gabriel Valley especially that there's this whole scene of bands who support each other. And I checked it out online, they don't have that much online. I'm basically going to be starting a record label out here soon. And also I'm starting to realize there's all these venues and bars that want to have all these live bands now. Pomona, the Art Block, a bunch of galleries there that want to have live bands. So, to a sense, I'm only just sharing this idea. I really don't have a question.
No, it sounds like you're sounding like you're becoming what a lot of entrepreneurs are becoming.
Yeah.
You're becoming a full service. You're going to become the manager. Okay, you sound like you want to be the manager of these acts.
Yeah.
You sound like you want to be the booker, okay, because you art walks and there's places that need music. And it sounds like you want to be the record label. Right? That's the direction it's kind of going. You have to be full service. That individual person, once they can sort out this legislation that's been, this antiquated legislation that's the managers can't be the agents, which they're working on to get rid of. CAA, the big agency in America, spent a lot of money to keep that in place, because why do you need that now? A manager can book shows very easily. They can find the places, but there's a law on the books that technically a manager can't. And then what ends up happening is a band wants to leave their manager, and the first thing they use is that clause. Oh, he booked a show for me. Technically, every manager I know has ever booked a band for their baby bands. They booked a show. No one's not broken that law. But that's how bands get out of their contracts. Yes, so you're trying to build that.
Yeah, I'm trying to build that. And my friend has a space in Elwood who used to book shows there, but then police caught up and they had to shut down that place. So now there's a storefront, there's a bike shop, or whatever. But in a way, how do you manage that kind of permitting?
It's nice to even say F the police. But we all learn how to work with them or I'd be out of business. So, it sounds like, you want, what I would be doing is looking for like-minded people. Take your specialty. You have a vision, okay? And you're gonna need a couple people. You're gonna have to build a website, okay? Or consolidate websites. Consolidate the 6 bands. You like music, find the 6 best bands in this valley and say, I'm going to represent you and find you business.
Yeah, the reason I'm trying to do this out here is because I realize all the bands want to make big or get noticed, they all flood to LA.
I don't know if that's true anymore. I think LA's, nothing's, Hollywood's, I don't know. Well, I was part of the 80s when really you flooded LA, Guns N' Roses and everyone flooded LA to become big.
More like the Echo Park.
Echo Park, yeah, that whole Boyle Heights, that whole punk rock scene there.
Yeah.
There's a huge little punk rock scene, a great community there.
Yeah, exactly.
Just got recognized by like some great filmmakers, Stacy Peralta, who I did No Room Rock with for Rock Stars with, and he did Dogtown Z-Boys. Just shot a documentary, and he shot my documentary, No Room for Rock Stars. He's kind of found that world, and there's a bunch of fun. It got turned on to me recently, so I'm bringing a couple of those bands to let them play some local shows this year. We're all kind of interested because growing up punk rock in East LA was never easy, and there's been some great bands that have come out through history there. So if there's a whole scene there, I think that's where yes, I live in a house now. I have 2 daughters. And it's like I am not punk rock. It's cool, but I still have those roots of being able to support something I still think is a scene. So, it's just you finding your niche and your passion and going in and showing them how you can help them go to the next level.
Yeah.
They may not be looking for that person, but it's how, I always say if you want to be your first job, you've got to walk up to the messy merch stand someone has. Say, let me get this merch stand sorted out for you. Let me help present you. Let me collect email addresses for you. Let me show you my worth. Learn Excel. Show up with a sheet so they can mark down how many t-shirts they sold, how much money they've got to pay the t-shirt company. Because it's amazing how quickly bands forget they got to pay the bill. It's proving your worth. And a lot of times that's a band you like, and they don't know they need you. How many of you like to drive at night? It's a great skill. I would hire you if you could drive at night if I was in a band. That's the thing, being able to drive at night when the band's trying to sleep or something, the first person they want to hire is someone that just loves driving at night, just can rock it, get in instead of helping with their gear, just fire it up. And can make it and then sleep for a few hours and help them get to the next gig. You find a reason. Most people, I would never hire someone on the spot. People would always show up to the back doors of the clubs, the Roxy, the Whiskey, Palace, Palladium, and looking for a job. And I didn't know if they were trying to just score another dime bag or whatever they needed that day. So I would just say, you know what, if I thought they might be good, I'd say, I don't need anyone now, but I have a show on next Saturday. If you can get back here at 10 o'clock, you can work that day. About 50-50 got 50%. 50% were just looking to score, and the other 50% were looking like to get their foot in the door. And those guys that showed up at the back door run every venue in LA right now. They run every venue. They're all the guys that work out at Coachella. All those guys started working for me because they showed up at a back door or showed why I needed them to work. Or the guys that grew up in Claremont knew how to drive late at night because I could not drive home. And I stayed in Claremont for the longest time, and it kept me grounded in that whole period. That whole period of LA. All those books I read about, the Chili Peppers, Anthony, I really thought he had a sore throat that night. I didn't know he was out trying to score heroin when we brought kids on stage to sing the song. I read all these books now with band people, Motley Crue and all these people I was working around. And I didn't realize there was that problem going on as much in LA because I was so busy working so hard to get those shows up. And then we would load up in my van and drive back to LA. Or drive back to Claremont. And that was the way I stayed grounded, like getting out of the city every day. I lived in a log cabin up in Palmer Canyon. You guys probably don't know, it burned down during fires years ago. But we all lived, and it put me in a different space. It was only about, and getting your head in a different space was a big thing. And it kind of kept everything in check. But some of the guys that out there that work everywhere started because they were the guys that could drive home late at night. They were good night drivers, so we always needed someone to drive home when we loaded back in the van. So that was their skill. Yes?
Oh yeah, you met me, I'm Desiree. I also wanted to tell you that I'm really trying to start this business as you've seen my art, I really want to get involved with people who are into music or any kind of media or pop culture, but I don't know how to find my niche, as you were saying.
Well, like I said, it's created your niche. You just met Lions over there, right? When's your next gig?
March 30th.
What? What I want to do right here, and this is how you connect people in business, and I want to ask you to give Desiree a chance to design a poster the next time you do a show. Okay? So they're not going to pay you. Okay, your first poster's not going to get paid.
Right.
All right? But they're going to need a poster, like a unique piece of artwork, because maybe their fans are going to come out that they want to be able to give a nice piece of artwork to that came to that show. So what you do is that's how you get your foot in the door.
Right. And I also want to make the logos and merchandise. I love to do all of that.
Well, look online. Bands run contests all the time that says, now we're doing artwork that we create now for what we do. We go out to the fans. We have most of our stuff created, fan-based stuff that will support stuff for Warped Tour. We give some scholarships away. We give things away for people that design art. But this is going to be your foot in the door, okay? And you know what? If you do a great poster for them, and then they go on and do stuff, that poster becomes very valuable. You actually hold the original artwork, okay? And then I see you down the South by Southwest as one of these exhibits. There was this whole building of poster art, of really cool, like the great artists that have done posters. And I've never had enough time at Southwest by Southwest because I was running from meeting to meeting to meeting on with my hustle. But I don't have that hustle right now. So I actually went and looked at all those posters, and it was kind of fun to walk through there and go, wow, I was involved with a lot of shows. And I go, I remember that night. I remember that night over there. I remember that show. And it was kind of a little bit of like cool for me to do that. But that's what I would do, Desiree, okay?
Can I get your email?
Yes.
See me after for a card. That has been said.
Oh, okay, sorry. Oh, sorry about that.
Myself?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Yuri. I'm the frontman of two amazing bands, and I see the majority of both of them are actually in the audience. Murder Most Foul and Nocturnal Clockwork. And I wanted to know, when it comes to networking with other professionals, once you've had a sort of a foot in the door already, you've been to a couple of venues and spoken with a few people, you start meeting bigger people. I myself had the fantastic experience of working with 30 Seconds to Mars recently doing choreography. And I'm not gonna lie, I mean, it was really surreal, and it was kind of like a, yeah, okay, you know, when I was at the venue, and then like 5 minutes later, Jared Leto walked in, and he was standing like 5 feet away from me. I didn't know what to do or say, or it just went blank.
Hello, would do nice.
But I mean, I got back on my toes, but I mean, is there a sort of like advice that you could give to help people maintain that professionalism once you breaking that barrier of being a fan or someone who's idolizing these musicians?
Well, you were doing choreography for him, right?
Yeah. They posted this thing on Facebook, and I sent them an email, and they accepted my work.
Well, then, that would have been that moment to say, I just want to introduce myself and say thank you for choosing me. I'm doing choreography on your work. Bass. Jared Leto was that guy coming to me, believe it or not, when he started 30 Seconds to Mars. I put him on Warped Tour. He was breaking out. He was this movie guy. And movies, we don't bridge a whole lot, no matter. We started to. I wrote a movie. I've been involved in a few now. But that bridge, but he wanted to break in the music business. So what did he want to do? He wanted to play the Warped Tour. And you know what? He was shy when he came out on Warped Tour. He was really nervous. He was very cognizant that he was hanging around with Rancid and these bands. He was very cognizant, and he's polite, he respects what they're doing, he hangs out on the side of the stage, watches them play. But you meet people 3, 4, 5 times, and then you know what? He's sitting under my tent in front of the bus talking about how his vision, talk about a guy with a vision. I mean, he has a vision. I'm different. I kind of go along with the flow and seize the opportunities that come to me, or opportunities I can create. There's different, but he is so focused. And so, like, he knew he was going to be a rock star. Like, he knew. Juliette Lewis is another one who came out on Warped Tour. Did the movie thing, survived the movie things. Oh, God, and I'm going to blow her name. What's her name? Pretty Reckless?
Taylor Momsen.
Yeah, Taylor Momsen's another one. But they knew that they wanted to come into the music world, and the Warped Tour was the place to come out to. And, those guys, Jared Leto, but what Jared Leto invested every bit, he only did movies to fund his music habit. I mean, he would go do a movie and then come spend all his money on music. But in that moment, and I don't want to say take it light, but it is that moment when you have that moment, when you have that basic connection. And there was a basic connection there. You were going to appear in his video or do some choreography for something he did, and he was the artist. That would have been the moment where I would, you know, if you get that opportunity again, take that with someone. You're not, you know, you come off awkward. I grew up awkward. I'm still awkward. Put me around a bunch of parents, and I suck. You know. The only reason the parents like me is because now the kids all want to come to the show. But you know, they understand who I am. But it is that moment, and I feel, you know, it's that I do feel awkward, and you know, I feel awkward. And people always say, "Break it down, Kevin." You feel you can sit around a room, you can run a show for 500,000 people, but sometimes I get intimidated by like West Coast agents, you know, because I in my mind, Satan lives west of La Brea, and they all made a deal with him. And then my agents look at me and go, "What do you mean?" I go, "Just think about it." You know, but I'm awkward in those situations. We're all going to be awkward in situations. I think the most creative, successful people, and I think, you know, are awkward amongst people. We're not the most charming, dynamic people. We tend to have, we all have fails, things we fail in. All right, but you'll get there next time. Just walk up and say it. That's how most of these kids get jobs. People get jobs, and they come up and just start, you know, build that relationship. Girls, kids that volunteer that worked here 6 years in a row, and then all of a sudden a job opens up. Remember that girl that shows up every year in Detroit? She's always so nice. Let's give her a job. And now I just ran into her. She was running that Apple iTunes Festival. I mean, they had everyone play. They had Willie Nelson. I don't know. We had Soundgarden, big iTunes Apple Festival, and she was like head coordinator for it. And she's worked this for 4 years, just on during the summer, but now she's busy year round. Yes.
You mentioned the movement of the music industry, how in the new technology and how fast everything moves. My question is, sorry, my name is Don. I'm actually the guitar player for Murder Most Foul, for what Yuri just said. My question is, the old way of what bands used to do is you rehearse and you do shows and then you put out an album, you know. Is it, in your opinion, is it better to not even do a full physical album and just release digital and see where
I believe
it goes?
a limited, like with Bouncing Souls, we had this thing where we released a track a month for a year. And at the end of the year, we released a limited edition that we were only going to make 5,000 physical copies. And they blew right out. I am kind of that, and you love that, I don't know, people go, oh, it sucks, I'm going to do a whole album kind of thing. I think you can build up an album the right way if you have enough singles on it to be able to release it at the end as a limited edition.
Yeah, because that's kind of my idea for our project, for what we're doing. I don't want to release a physical album. I want to do digital and see how each one sells over the course of months. And
absolutely.
so it's a safer route to go there.
And then if not, then if like you got one that's not doing any good, not connecting, just throw that one off the final release, and you get to take 10 of the best 12 songs that you did and put them in a really cool thing, or some sort of great package for your band.
Cool.
That's.
Hi, I'm Andrew. I'm a recording engineer, and I'm wondering how someone like me can become a roadie on a work tour.
Well, I mean, have you worked with bands on tour before?
No.
All right, then you're not going to get a job with me. No offense.
Okay.
Okay, no offense, and I'm not being, and I know that was, I'm probably getting a little tired, but I'm just saying, I realize Warped Tour is not to be on the production crew side. If you were coming out with a band, I would say, look at what bands. A lot of them need sound people. But coming to work for Warped Tour as your first tour, you're working 16-hour days, 6 days a week are the shows. It's a really intense experience on a limited production people. The sound guys especially. They are out 7 o'clock in the morning, and they're done 10, 11 o'clock at night. And they're having to be around mixing sound, patching all day, doing that kind of stuff. It takes chops to get out on to be able to sound person on Warped Tour.
Well, even just move stuff, I wouldn't mind being.
Move stuff that look locally with Golden Voice.
Okay.
There's very few people that are brought out there to just move stuff.
Okay.
The 3 guys that we feature on the TV show are because they look good with their shirts off. And it's hard to get rid of them. And trust me, the TV show Warped Roadies, everyone goes, you know, it took me 10 years to decide to do that. I went through producers. I didn't want to work my brand. I wanted to look at all that thing. And now I just look at it as a great thing to bridge us year round. Kids are in the snow. We're lucky we're in California. Wednesday nights they have work viewing parties. And it plays, it's a fun TV show. It does say a little bit about what the road life is, but it's really not. But people don't, the normal road life gets pretty boring pretty quick. So you just kind of, the TV show is great. It's turned into a great marketing tool for me. We've sold 90,000 tickets for the Warped Tour this year, and we spent $1,000 in advertising. And that's because of that TV show.
Is there any way I can volunteer?
Yeah, you can do that. You got my email returns, right? Yeah, hit me up. What I could do also is maybe you can volunteer to go over to the warehouse with the guys who are getting all the sound rigs together. That's where you start. If you want to be a sound guy on the road, you end up working in the warehouses. You go out to the sound companies and clean gear, blow dust out of speakers. That company is the same company, and I'm partners with that company. That grew from a punk rock club called Fenders with one little 2404 Yamaha desk. They now do all the sound at Coachella. They do Pearl Jam, Chili Peppers. They do all my tours. They're called Rat Sound. And you know what? All that gear that's going to come back from Coachella after 3 weeks in the desert has to be cleaned. And that's how you get into this business. You go pay your dues in the warehouse. You clean the gear. You clean the cables. You get everything packed up for all their summer tours. So all that gear's got to get ready to be turned around for the summer tours. And you know what? That's how you get recognized. And it takes a few years. Or maybe a short time. Maybe he's going to get in a pinch and need to send someone out. We'll do 2 more questions? Yeah, back here. Green Bay. Or is that? That's on citrus colors, right? Yeah.
I have my own as well, but how would I know, like, together a gather of more people? Because I'm not building a business or anything like that. I just want to find more people.
Find more people. What kind of music you like?
Like anime?
Anime?
Yeah.
Oh man, Comic-Con.
Yeah.
You go down to Comic-Con?
Yeah, I've gone there twice.
You like J-Rock?
Kind of.
J-pop? What do you listen? I don't know.
like
Chipcore? Nerdcore? I don't know. I mean,
Nightcore.
like, okay, it's all. See, that's where I have to try to keep up with all the trends in music.
It's most like they started.
And have you gone to like the website? Like, so there's groups, there's online groups that kind of is just start finding people that like music. And I live in, I don't know, Glendora. And
They started in Japan first, and then they just exploited everywhere they started out.
yeah. I mean, I was very involved with J-Rock, and I brought some of the, and Yoshiki, who produces a lot of those bands, is a good friend of mine, and we, did the Deer and Gray record, and I just was amazed. But I know we're wrapping up, so we'll do 2 more, and then, hey guys, thank you guys for coming out. I know you took your time to come out. I'll hang out if you want. If I didn't get to your questions, I can hang out and answer more. So we're going to answer the gentleman in the back that's standing. All right.
Andrew, I have a question, kind of like, I think that everyone in music benefits from is young. It has to do with dealing with people that are older with you, or older than you, and have a higher position. So, specifically, I know a band that I subbed for, and they were getting gigs because their frontman had connections. But once their frontman went off to college, these same venues that were paying them for are now expecting them to play for free, basically. But they don't word it like that, but essentially ends up so that they still be fans. And so how do you deal respectfully but effectively with someone at a venue like that, someone like that?
Is the band drawing the same amount of people?
They are. And that's the weird thing about it, is that there's actually more people, but
I'd go find another venue.
yeah.
If you have been following, why do business with someone that's taking advantage of you?
Yeah, and then I also have another question really quick. My friend has an internship at Mocha, and he's been there for 2 months, and he does more work than the people who are employed.
Well, Elvis Costello's just said a great thing about major record labels. I work with indie labels, the Fearless, the Hopeless, the Rise, those kind of labels. Elvis Costello said a great thing in a speech recently. He said, major labels are a bunch of big wigs and interns. There's nothing left of the major label business. Some of these big companies, and that's the thing. People always ask me, should I go intern at Live Nation or one of these big companies? I go, no. Go intern at Fearless Records or Hopeless or one of the smaller promoters, the guy that does chain reaction. You'll learn more because you're sitting in a room with him. You're sitting there. Yeah, the big companies, yeah, they definitely are exploiting internships in a way, I feel.
Yeah, it's like slavery.
Yeah. Well, I thank you guys. Best of success. Hope to see you down the road. And,